Changing people with the word. Welcome to our services.
Just like every other principle is a principle that God has instituted in the lives of believers. And faith happens to be the topmost principle that any believer, if you're going to be able to walk with God, if you're going to be able to do anything from God, if you're going to be able to even please God, the Bible encourages us to be able to walk by faith. And so in order for us as believers, as Christians, to be able to walk victoriously, the number one thing that we ever need to constantly remind ourselves is we need to be able to walk by faith. And the Bible talks about these three pillars in Christianity. It talks about faith, hope, and love. When we're talking about Christian living, we cannot be able to run away from these three things: faith, hope, and love. In order for us to be able to experience a victorious Christian life, if we want to live victoriously in our daily walk, we must constantly exercise walking by faith. And the Bible takes us back to the children of Israel. And the writer of Hebrews brings to us the example of the children of Israel. And it tells us that these children of Israel had a promise. God had assured them that he was going to take them somewhere. But most of them didn't end up getting into their destination simply because they did not mix the word that they had together with faith. They did not mix what Moses kept telling them about. They did not mix it with faith. And because of not mixing it together with faith, they ended up falling short of what God had ordained for them. And so it is my desire this morning that none of us is going to fall short of everything that God has promised to us. That none of us is going to live a defeated life simply because they have been unable to walk into the promises of God. But as we constantly and continue pushing ourselves towards faith and mixing everything that we hear by faith, then we are able to tap into everything that God has ordained for us. For the Bible says that it is by grace, so that it might be by faith. It is by faith so that it might be by grace. To the end, all the promises of God may be fulfilled towards us. Everything that God has promised us, the only activation towards it is faith. Everything that God has in store for us, the only access point we have to it is faith. And so what does the word faith mean? Faith. It is impossible for us to claim to have faith without having an assurance. Because faith anticipates certainty for the future. Certainty. Faith anticipates certainty for the future. You cannot go to invest into a business if you have no certainty that that business is going to bring you profit. I mean, if you were to start, the reason why people get into businesses is because they have a certainty. No doubt. But people get into business and they invest their money because there is a certainty that there is going to be return to what they are putting their money into. Some years back, there was a pyramid scheme called DESI. And this DESI, in order for you to get into DESI, you needed to have somebody who had been in DESI in order for you to get into DESI. And I remember how they used to pitch. They would come to you. One of them came to me and told me, "My friend, why have you been wasting time? Come to DESI. You put in 5,000, you get 5,000. You put in 5,000, you get 5,000. And he would tell you, I got it mine. I got my first 5,000 last week. So the people would be putting in their money with a lot of faith that had been built by somebody who had experienced the same, with the certainty that once I put this 5,000, I'm going to get 5,000 back. It may not happen today, but I know that in a week's time, I will have another 5,000, and so I will have 10,000. And it drove people mad, of course. There are people who, after the several experiences, their faith grew to the next level, and some even went and took a loan and came and invested in this. Why? Because they had seen it working. So they had certainty that that loan they were going to get was going to pay off once they have invested and they have waited for a few months. That's the kind of certainty that I'm talking to us about. That's the certainty that we need when it comes to faith. That whatever God has promised us, we need to have that certainty that that thing that God has promised us is going to come to pass. Faith is the ability to look beyond the visible into the invisible. It is impossible for you to be able to walk by faith if all that controls you is all that you see. Many a times what we see is not really what is there. This world is made up of two realms. We have got the unseen realm and we have got the seen realm. And this is what the Bible talks about the seen realm. It says that the things that we see with our natural eyes are temporary. But the things that we do not see, which exist in the invisible realm, they are more permanent. So that tells you that before you are able to see anything manifesting in the natural realm, it has first of all originated from the unseen realm. Before you are able to get in contact with something, just know that that thing has begun in the realm of the unseen. And so in order for us to be able to walk by faith, we have to be at a position where we are able to look beyond the visible. And that's why the Bible says that we do not walk by sight. We do not walk by the five senses. Our lives are not dictated with what is happening around us. And that's why we need to shift our focus from what is happening around us and shift our focus to what God has promised us and what God is intending to do with us. It is the ability. Faith is the ability to look beyond the momentarily temporal scene as we fix our focus on what we know to be true. Many a times you'll find that when it comes to the matters of faith, the Bible always speaks of things that are not. But yet God expects us to be able to walk by faith like Abraham, who believed and hoped against